Shri Shri Radha Vinu Bihari Ju Shashinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Ramana Ju Ki Jai. Shalagram Giriraj Ki Jai. Look it, Laddu Gopal Ki Jai. Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Panu Guru Varga Ki Jai. Pati Pavana Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way to do it.
Anyway, it is today. No, because Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Sri Sri Radha Vino Bihari Mandir in Sri Gopinath Bhavan, Sri Vrindavan Dham. So I received a message yesterday from a wonderful devotee, Manjulali Manjari. She said her daughter was crying because she didn't see baby Gopal yesterday at the darshans at the end.
They were taking a nap next door.
I know, they were taking a nap next door. But anyway, her daughter was crying, and so we apologize for that.
They're here.
Yeah, they came here, so that's why I wanted to show them first this time. So.
She has to see his little nappies. She'd be so happy.
Okay, we can do a close-up later.
Happy darshan.
So we will be beginning, as we always do, with Mangalacharan. Page 1 of Sri Gauriya Giti Gucha. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam. Bande.
Nandini's back. I haven't seen her for a while.
Nandini, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, all Vaishnavas. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे नमो विष्णुपादाय गौरप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्री श्रीमद् भक्तिप्रज्ञानो केशवमुक्तिनामिने अतीवैकचरित्राय स्वश्रितानाञ्चपानिने जीवदुःखे सदर्ताय श्रीनाम प्रेमदायिने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्तो सरस्वती नामिने श्रीवर्षभारती देवी नैकाय कृपभये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दैने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमध्य श्रीरूपानुरभक्तिदा श्रीगौरकरुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दिनतारिणे रूपानुगं निरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तमन्वहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षाद्वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भरसम्बोधे पदमूर्धये नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगम्बराय ते गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिय वैष्णवः सर्वभौमः श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यो नन्दे गौरद्विषे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतां सुरतोपङ्गो ममन्नमते गति मत्सर्वस्वत्पदम्बोजो राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमः श्रीमद्रङ्गानारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेव प्रेष्णानिभिः सेव्यमानः स्मरामि श्रीमन्द्रसरसारम्भी वंशिवततस्थितः हर्षन्तेनुस्वरै गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तुनः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादानं निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यामधुजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं मोहनामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् हरे नाम हरे नामेव केवलं करुणस्त्येव नस्त्येव गतिरन्यथा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Gurudev Boro Kripa Kodi, page 33 in the Gaudiya app, I'm not sure.
Page 33 in Gauriya Gita Gucha, Gurudev Boro Kripa Kodi.
If you don't have the Gaudiya app or the book, if you scroll down, Jiva Bhavana Prabhu always adds the lyrics, and if you look carefully, sometimes you'll find sweet nectar added there by him. So it starts with Gurudev Bado B-A-D-O, Kripa Kodi.
Rohi Vaishnava Thakur, Doyara Sagar, Vedase Kuruna Kori, page 39, O-H-E, Vaishnava. 39. Rohi Vaishnava Thakur, Doyara Sagar, Vedase Page 73. Ke jabi re bhai bhava sindhu par. Ke jabi, K-E, jabi. नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय।
It was a little high.
So, ये आपको
No, it was high. Too high.
हाँ ठीक है। अक्रोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय पेज 60। AKRODHA जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री कृष्ण Pasha, what?
Nothing.
No, can we do?
If there's time, we go down the bed to the water. If you don't want. We're reading Sankashamrakanda.
Pasha Shachi Sutam Anupama Rupam.
Yeah, I think this one's easier.
Oh, we can just do it easy tonight. I just did it like yesterday, day before. Pasya Shachi Sutam Anupama Rupam. Page 338.
Pasya
Pasya Shachi Sudam Anupam Marupam Pasya Shachi Sudam Anupam Marupam Pasya Shachi Sudam Anupam Marupam Kalita Rasa Nirupam Because it is a very rarely sung bhajan, at least by us, I think it's important that we should quickly read the translation. This is written by Sri Radha Mohan Das. Behold the unparalleled beauty of the son of Mother Shachi. He is an incomparable reservoir of nectarian rasa. Tortured by the pangs of separation that arise in his mind due to his intense attachment to Krishna, he manifests the most exquisite yet terrifying pastimes of ecstasy. Totally absorbing himself in thoughts of the Supreme Being, Lord Jagannath, he constantly experiences the pain of separation, yet he is that very same Supreme Personality, whose adorable feet are decorated by the lotus hands of Kamala. Transformations of ecstasy appear in his body, his face becomes intensely flushed, and his voice falters. This Radha Mohan is simply hoping to attain his lotus feet. Shri Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Krishna.
Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande, page 343, starts with Krishna Deva, D-E-V-A, Bhavantam, B-H-A-V-A-N-T-A-M.
madhava natvaiva matri Okay.
Do you know this?
Sure.
It's page 362.
Page 362.
Radharani ki jai.
Maharani ki jai. Radharani ki jai. Maharani ki jai. Radharani ki jai. Radharani ki jai. Maharani ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Do you need this?
Or if you won't be using it, I can use it.
It's better when you do.
Okay.
Or keep it in.
Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo No Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Vishnupad, Astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Vishnupad, Astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga Guru Varga. And I offer my Dandava Pranam to all Vaishnavas past, present and future, including all of you who are present with us today. My Dandava Pranam. Three things. When I was saying Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, many of you have heard this before. But one time, many years before, Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj was in an assembly of senior Vaishnavas, means those who were disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. But he was requested to speak. So he stood up to speak. And when he was offering his Mangalacharan, his pranam to his Gurudev, he said, first of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in Hindi or Bengali unto the lotus feet of my Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Everyone started laughing. Hey, what are you saying? Why are you saying Nitya Lila Pravishta Om to your Gurudev? He's still present in this planet. He's still here. And Gurudev's response was, oh, only your Guru is Nitya Lila, not my Gurudev. So this is a symptom of very strong nishta in one's transcendental Gurudev. That they understand that my Gurudev is always present in Nitya Lila. Nikunja yuno ratikeli siddhya yayali bhir yuktirapekshaniya tatrati dakshyat ativallabhasya vande guru shri charanaravindam. That one should see that their spiritual master is an assistant maidservant of the gopis, serving Sri Sri Radha and Krishna within the Nikunjas of Vrindavan. This is a proper view to have of one's transcendental Gurudev, especially in this line of Rupa Goswami. So Gurudev's response was actually correct. For some reason, I don't know why, and I've never ever heard a good answer. When any Guru is present in this world, they don't say Nitya Lila Pravishta, they just say Om Vishnupad Astottara Shri Srimad, like this. And then when the Guru disappears from this world, then they say Nitya Lila Pravishta, that now he is manifest in Nitya Lila. But while Gurudev is present, we chant that he's manifest in Nitya Lila. We understand that He's there in the eternal transcendental form, which is suitable for serving in those eternal pastimes, and also present here in the form of our Gurudev, giving us transcendental nourishment toward our perfection. So it was quite interesting to hear about this pastime of Gurudev, that actually he took a very strong role and defended his right to say Nitya Lila. In this connection also, once upon a time, some of the senior disciples of his Gurudev's Guru, means his Gurudev's godbrothers, had been speaking something which sounded like a Siddhanta, means something a little off. I didn't say all of them, but some. And Gurudev challenged that, because the Siddhanta was off. In this case, Srila Gurudev Maharaj, not in this case, but in this kind of context, Srila Gurudev Maharaj, he explained that we can tolerate anything. We can tolerate anything, but we cannot tolerate changes in the Siddhanta. Then everything will be ruined, everything will be finished. We cannot tolerate adulterations to the Siddhanta, to the teaching. We can understand that people may have so many thousands of faults. This is natural, because we are conditioned souls. But changes in Siddhanta, we cannot tolerate. So Gurudev heard something which was off. And he strongly spoke up and spoke the correct conceptions. And they were challenging him. Hey, you're just a junior, how do you say this? And he said, I have actually seen Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada and heard him properly. How is that? Through the mouth of my Gurudev. And then they went to his Gurudev to complain to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. And said that he's saying like this, and he said he's really seen and heard Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada through you. And Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj confirmed that yes, this is the proper understanding. He is seen through the mouth of his Gurudev. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chite Te Kori Aikya Ar Na Kori Ho Mane Asha. That what comes from the mouth of my Gurudev, this will be purifying for my chitta, for my consciousness. Ar Na Kori Ho Mane Asha. I have no desire anything to hear or to see any other conception which is opposed to the conception of my transcendental Gurudev, which is always in line with sadhu and shastra, if they are transcendental. If they are not transcendental, then it might be that they are subject to the four defects, Brahm, Pramada, Karanapatava, and Vipralipsa. But these four defects, the tendency to come under illusion, the tendency to make mistakes, the tendency to have imperfect senses, and the tendency to cheat others. And according to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, these do not occur within these sayings, within the statements of the all-knowing, all-perfect Tattvadarshis, those who are knowers and seers of the truth. Why? Because they are connected to the absolute truth and there's no flaw or fallibility in what they say. So, in this connection, once upon a time, we were in Fiji Islands with our Srila Gurudev. And at that time, we went to the house of Nitin Punja. He was one of the Punja brothers. The Punjas, there's Jagannath Punja, Kanti Punja, Nitin Punja, Vasudev Punja, and Bhuvan Mohan. I think it was the five brothers, like the five Pandavas. And we were in the house of Nitin Punja. And at the time that Gurudev was there was also one very, I wouldn't say powerful yogi, but a very practiced yogi who was teaching yoga. He would teach people how to take a gallon of water and clean out their system and get rid of that. And he was about 75 years old, but glowing with effulgence due to good health. And he was also a Sanskrit teacher, a scholar. Srila Gurudev had such sweet, amicable dealings with him. It's from a different time, the way that people would communicate with each other. Nowadays, it's like, behind the keyboard, anyone can say anything to each other very harshly without any kindness or affection. In front of someone's face, usually they don't speak like that. But traditionally, people had a way of speaking which was nice and sweet, and if they needed to make a cutting point, they would do it in a very poetic way, that person might understand, but anyone else might not even understand. Gurudev said that our Param Gurudev had this capacity to preach in such a beautiful, sweet way, and that person who needed to be corrected would feel it, but they would also feel the sweetness. So this is an art which is becoming lost these days. Anyhow, Srila Gurudev was speaking so beautifully, so sweetly with this personality, this yogi. And they were laughing together, joking together, sitting next to each other. Gurudev, although Gurudev is guru, but because this person was of the similar age to him, Gurudev gave him similar respect, and he placed him on the seat next to himself. Gurudev is showing such nice etiquette. And at that time, they were speaking about this verse, Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. And Gurudev was asking him questions about Sanskrit grammar, but he was more like testing him in a sweet way. And so they were talking back and forth for some time, and then Gurudev looked at me and he said, "Do you know this verse, Namo Mahavaranyaya?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Can you tell?" And I said, "Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishai Namaha." And Srila Gurudev said, "Is it Pradayate or Pradayine?" And I'm like, "Krishna Prema Pradayate." Pradayate. Gurudev said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." And then he asked this Sanskrit scholar, "Is it Pradayate or Pradayine?" And the Sanskrit scholar said, "Well, according to the rules of Sanskrit grammar, technically it should be Pradayine. But," and then Gurudev said, "But, this verse was composed by Uttam Mahabhagavat Vaisnava, Surut Damodar Goswami." And he said, Pradayate. And according to the rules of Sanskrit grammar, whatever the Mahabhagavat Vaisnava says, this is always perfect. There's no mistake. And this yogi started laughing. "Yes, yes, you are right, you are right, you are right." And so Gurudev taught us this point. And we see in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, there it is said, even though it may be imperfectly composed, still it is relished by those who are pure in heart and thoroughly honest. Interesting, isn't it? That Srimad Bhagavatam may have some grammatical errors, even from that time. But because it is spoken in love and in devotion by those who are knowers and seers of the truth, then it should be understood in that light that there is really no error or no mistake. So this is a very beautiful lesson for us that Srila Gurudev has presented, that Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has presented in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. That illusion, that making mistakes, that imperfect senses, and that cheating others does not occur within the pure devotees. And I'm using the term pure very, very clearly. Pure means without mal, without impurity. That's what unalloyed devotional service means, or ananya bhakti. 100% clean, clear, and pure, because there's no attraction to anything else. So I just wanted to share
Ballabhadra
that.
was asking a question though. Do Madhyam Vaishnavas have these 4 defects, or is it that they are subject to them less?
Good question, Ballabhadra Prabhu. So, technically there are 2 different kinds of Madhyam Vaishnavas. There is the Madhyam who is actually transcendental, who has descended out of causeless mercy, which means they're way beyond Uttam. They're actually Nitya Parikar, eternal associates of the Lord, but they have taken the role of Madhyam Adhikari, descending to Madhyam Adhikari, to be able to discriminate for our benefit. So the qualification or the qualities, the nature of Madhyam is Prema Maitri Kripa Upeksha. They have prema for the Lord, love for Krishna's devotees, friendship for those who are like equal. Means Sajati Ashai Snigdha Sangha. Means those who are of their same level, they have Maitri, friendship with them. Then Kripa, those who are Kanishta, those who need help, those who require shelter, they give them mercy, Kripa, and they give them shelter. And Upeksha. Upeksha means those who are atheists, those who are Mayavadis, those who are not very lusty persons, or those who are attached to very lusty persons, like Mahaprabhu said, reject this kind of association. So they manifest upeksha, or neglect, especially for those who are very envious or antagonistic to Krishna or Krishna's pure devotees. This is the characteristic of Madhyam Vaishnava. So Srila Gurudev has explained again and again and again that the Uttam may take the role of Madhyam in the same way that any postgraduate professor, university professor, may fill in for his friend who's teaching a kindergarten class. He's qualified to teach all levels, but he's taking the role of kindergarten teacher, and then he's saying A is for apple, B for ball, C for cat. But his qualification is that he can speak very, very eloquent poetry and knows so many languages and all different conceptions, very deep philosophy. But for us, he's taking that role. So we should understand that he is not lost his position, he's just stepping into that role. So one is coming down. The other one is coming up from Kanishta, meaning that they were bound in this material world, and now they're coming up a little bit. So they've come to Madhyam. We should understand that that personality who is stepping into the role of Madhyam, they have no frailty. They have no flaw. They don't make any mistakes. And so they would generally be seen in the role of Madhyam Uttam, or the highest level Madhyam, because they've stepped into that role to be able to discriminate for our benefit. Uttama Vaishnavas just see that everything is going on perfectly according to Krishna's plan. And they see Krishna's hand in everything. According to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, they don't exactly see the material world and the workings of this material world. Rather, they see their Ishtadev present in everything and his hand in everything. So they don't see that there's any need for any correction, any change, that everything is perfect as it is, and that everyone is serving Krishna in their way, one way or another. So this is an important thing. So Uttamas like this, that's why it is considered a bit dangerous for us, actually, because we won't understand the moods of Uttam, and then very easily we can make offenses, or offense, aparad. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada did not allow many of his disciples to even visit Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj, what to speak of Sri Vangshidas Babaji Maharaj. They do certain things externally which just don't make sense. Internally, they're completely detached from anything. They don't engage in any nonsense practices because they're engaged in bhajan 24 hours a day. Ashtakaliya Smaran, or more than that. Gurudev said, for that person who is in the process of sadhan, they are remembering the Ashtakaliya sadhan. But those who are siddha, they see all phases of time, all pastimes of the Lord in all realms, and Nitya Lila all at the same time. So they don't have to remember that this is happening at this time, this is happening at this time. That is for the realm of sadhana. But for those who have attained, siddha means their swarup, their eternal relationship with Krishna, they don't have this requirement upon them. So Uttam is one thing. We will keep Uttam in their category. We means those who are hopefully coming up. If we understand what is the definition of Kanishta, Kanishta has respect and honor, faith in their own Guru. They don't know how to honor other Vaishnavas properly. They have faith, Shraddha in Thakurji Seva, and they need help. And this is quite...
He's asking, isn't that dangerous?
Isn't what dangerous? Sorry. What I just said? Okay. Mamata, if you can just specify what you mean by that, what is dangerous, I would appreciate it. Thank you. So, most, I would say, Kanishta is actually still quite high. To have firm faith in Gurudev, that means you're following the instructions of Gurudev firmly, and firm faith in worshipping the deity. But how many actually have very strong faith? How many worship diligently? And how many have really have this conception where they won't just leave their deities for some days? And, they really take care of them with love and affection on a regular basis, properly. This is also quite rare. And we've seen this also. So I would say that many are pre-Kanishta, coming into Kanishta. But now we have those who are coming into Madhyam. From Kanishta level into Madhyam. For those persons, Srila Gurudev said, their knowledge is theoretical. They have not yet experienced the reality. But still they should be given honor and respect. According to Srila Rupa Goswami in Sri Upadeshamrita, verse 5, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta diksha shichet pranatibishcha vajantamisham shrushrushaya bhajana vidyamananya manya nindadi shunyam hridamit sita sangalabdhya. So for one who is Kanishta Vaishnava, it means that person who's even chanted the holy name even once. This is going to come into the next subject that I was going to discuss. A devotee was asking questions. So, even chanting the holy name even once, then manasadriyeta. Within the mind, one should offer pranam to such a person. Dikshashti chet pranatibhishcha bhajantam isham. Those persons who have actually made a real, clear endeavor in their life that I am going to follow this path of bhakti. I will accept Sri Guru in my life. I will follow that discipline. I will engage in the process of bhakti under their guidance. I will receive diksha. I will take shelter of Harinam Prabhu. And I will follow those instructions. They have made an honest, clear endeavor to engage in the process of bhakti. Pranati Bhish. Because they are doing bhajan. They're beginning the path of bhajan. Following those activities in bhakti which will increase their thirst for love for Krishna. Then one should offer their pranam, not just in the mind, but physically to such a person. And that person who's completely self-surrendered, 100% to Krishna, who's engaged in serving Krishna 24 hours a day, shrushrushaya bhajana vigyam ananyamanya, they are one-pointed to Krishna without any tendency to criticize anyone else, nindari shunyam. Then one with their whole heart, their mind, their body, soul should offer themselves at the lotus feet of such a person and surrender to them for their own benefit, for one's own benefit. So this is what Srila Rupa Goswami says. Okay. Isn't that dangerous? Seeing everything as Krishna's arrangement, no matter what, having this equal vision. So this subject is quite essential to understand. Uttam Vaishnava has a particular perspective. Madhyam Vaishnava has a particular perspective. And as one is progressing in Madhyam, or if they are descending from Uttam and stepping into the role of Madhyam, there will be variations on how one should see something. And Kanishta Vaishnava should also see according to their perspectives and behave accordingly. And one should respect these different Vaishnavas also according to their levels. Srila Gurudev said, if you call a third-class bogus person a Mahabhagavat, then this is an aparad to the real Mahabhagavat. So not that we give equal respect to everyone. This is not correct and not proper. This is offensive. This is offensive to those who are truly qualified and bona fide. You don't put me on the same seat with Srila Gurudev and worship me the same as Gurudev. That will be aparad to Gurudev, and it will be extremely embarrassing and detrimental for me. So this is some kind of vivek, discrimination, which is necessary for Vaishnavas. When the Kanishta pretends to have the sight, the vision of the Uttam, then you see that there are so many difficulties. Because he's trying to superimpose himself into that position. Then he'll be like, oh, everything is perfect. I don't see anything wrong with anything. I remember once upon a time, there was one devotee who said, I don't see the difference between males and females. And he had a lot of females around him all the time. And he was in the ashram where females should not be surrounding him. So, Srila Gurudev heard this, that this was being said. And Gurudev came out and he spoke, you should know that anyone who says this, who speaks like this, you should know that they are fully in the clutches of illusion. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that even for great like Mahabhagavats, really high-level personalities, even seeing a wooden doll of the form of a woman. And let me make it clear, if a man likes men, then it will be the form of a man. So just make that clear. But it can fully drag their mind into illusion. So this is something that one needs to take into consideration. So Gurudev, he said this, that anyone who is saying this, who's saying, I don't discriminate like this, that you should know they are fully in the clutches of illusion. What is the nature of those who are following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He was so strict. So strict. So we should also try to observe proper etiquette if we want to be accepted in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we want to be accepted by him. Once upon a time, there was something that I was doing many years before. I thought I was serving and pleasing Gurudev, and that was my intention. And Brajanath Prabhu came and he came to me and said, I heard you're doing something. Do you think Gurudev would be pleased? And I was thinking, well, yes, of course. So that's why I'm doing this. And then he asked me the question, do you think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be pleased? And he actually told me, he said, it's my duty to report everything I hear to Gurudev. That's my service. So then he asked me, do you think Mahaprabhu would be pleased by this? And I thought, no, I don't think so. I had not even considered that before. I just thought Gurudev would be pleased. And then I realized, if Mahaprabhu is not pleased, Gurudev would not be pleased. Immediately, I said, okay, from this moment, I will stop that activity, which I thought would be pleasing to Gurudev. But then, when I put Mahaprabhu in the equation, I realized this would not be pleasing to Mahaprabhu or Gurudev. Then Brajanath Prabhu said, then no need to say anything, because it's done. So in this context, yes, how strict is Mahaprabhu? Even if we think this is pleasing to Gurudev, but what would Mahaprabhu think? What would he say? What would he do? Then we have to be very careful. So if a Kanishta is superimposing their idea, I think there's one quote from Gopal Bhatta Goswami, that I will not see anything, I will not speak anything that anyone is doing. In one sense, it's good. In another sense, it sets a precedent for Sahajiyism. In the name of Gurudev, in the name of Mahaprabhu, in the name of Bhakti, that anyone can do anything with complete exemption, then what is it? It becomes Mayavad. That it's all one. It becomes Mayavad. Only that person who has transcendental vision, then they can see from the real perspective. And we must see from our level, not to superimpose or pretend that I'm on this level and I can see. If my heart is still full of material desires and everything, then I shouldn't pretend that I am completely transcendental. Then we'll have a problem, we'll have difficulty. What will manifest? I will superimpose my mundaneness onto the transcendental. And what will manifest is prakrita sahajya. Materialistic, spontaneous, natural mundaneness. That is the meaning of sahajya. Sahajya means spontaneous and natural. The gopis are known as aprakrit sahajya. All of Krishna's transcendental associates, they are spontaneously, naturally loving Krishna. And those who have not attained to that state, if we're spontaneously, naturally moving toward the material energy, then this is known as prakrita, material, sahajya. Sahajya means natural, spontaneous, flowing. So prakrita sahajya, this is the nature of most of us. And also the tendency is to superimpose my mundaneness onto the spiritual thing. So our Guru Varga very heavily warn against this. And part of that is not to pretend that I am in the adhikar, which is so high that I can see with that vision.
So Devaki Didi is wondering, how would someone as lowly as ourselves be able to distinguish between Madhyam and Uttam? And there's a question that kind of corresponds with it from Radhika Chandra. And she's saying, does such an Uttam who does not come down to Madhyam to preach still preach somehow? Or do they purify this world by their presence? I guess I'm wondering why Krishna would have them here in this world. So one is, why do they come if they don't step down? And the other question is, how are we able to see the difference between a madhyam and uttam being where we are now?
Okay, I'll address the why they come first. One time I asked Srila Gurudev a question. Actually, I was asking it to the other Vaishnavas in the advisory council department of Srila Gurudev's Sangha, when there was an advisory council. And it went to Srila Gurudev via Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, that why are there no temples being made in the West, but so much money is being spent on making temples in India? And so Gurudev asked, first he said, where do you want to do parikrama? In the Dham or in the West? He said, of course, in the Dham. And he said, because so many are coming to the Dham to do parikrama, we need to create a facility for them so that they can hear Harikatha, so they can do seva, so that they can rest, so they can do kirtan and all the practices of bhakti. So first I'm making the centers in India, in the Dham, where parikrama can go on. And he said, after we finish the Puri temple, then any money can be spent for making temples in the West. But then he said something very interesting, which I found quite profound. He said, because the Dham is the place where Krishna has performed his pastimes, because his footprints are there and all of the dust of the feet of his associates are there, Krishna's foot dust is there. Transcendental personalities means Krishna's eternal associates or very high level Vaishnavas from all over the universe come to the Dham to put their head in the dust and to visit the place of Krishna's pastimes. As we've seen in the history of Akrur, how Akrur came, and there's Charan Bahari just near, Bhavan Sarovar, just down the road from there. And Akrur, when he saw Krishna's footprints, he fell on those footprints, placed his head there, and was rolling in ecstasy with all Ashtasattvic bhavs manifesting on his body. So transcendental personalities come here. And then Gurudev said, so the opportunity for meeting with pure devotees, with transcendental personalities, is greatly enhanced by being in the Dham. One other thing I just read recently, and this was on the day of Bhaktivedanta Thakur and Gadadhar Pandit. This is from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, spoken by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. We understand that Bhaktivedanta Thakur is known as Gaura Shakti Swarup. Means he is the manifestation of Gadadhar Pandit. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada also says that Srila Gaura Kishoras Babaji Maharaj, he saw him as the manifestation of Swarup Damodar Goswami, who is none other than Lalita Saki. So he saw Bhaktivedanta Thakur in such a light and Srila Gaura Kishoras Babaji Maharaj in such a light. And then Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj explained that the pastimes of the Lord are always going on within the Dham. We might not be able to see it, but the Dham is transcendental. Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj explained that for our eyes, because our eyes are material, there's like a net of Maya over the Dham, and we see the Mayic Dham. We see the external form, but we don't see the pastimes of Krishna as they are going on because we don't have the qualification to see. But our Gurudev explained that currently, right now, the trees and the birds are witnessing the pastimes of Krishna as they are going on right now. So he warned us, don't break the branches of the trees, don't pull the leaves off, leave them alone, be respectful to them. They are like great personalities who are doing bhajan to witness the pastimes of Krishna. And he said the birds as well. That's why our 6 Goswamis, they were staying under different trees every night. Every tree is Kalpa Vriksha tree. Chintamani prakarasatmasu kalpa vriksha lakshavriteshu surabhir abhipalayantam. So every tree is a wish-fulfilling tree, meaning they are able to fulfill any desire. And so they would go and sleep under a different tree every night. Why? Not because they were homeless, because they wanted to know which pastimes you have witnessed. Please reveal this within my heart. What you have seen, what you have witnessed, please manifest this in my heart. So taking shelter of those great personalities who are witnessing the pastimes of Krishna, the Goswamis have shown us by their own example also how we can pray to these personalities. And we know the history of the 5 Pandavas, that they had taken forms as trees on the bank of Shyamakund. Raghunath Das Goswami, it was his seva to excavate Radha Kund and Shyamakund. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovered them, Raghunath Das Goswami, he was going to excavate them and make proper ghats, proper kundas there. So at that time, they had finished making Radha Kund, nice and square, very simple, like Srimati Radhika. And then he was going to make Shyamakund, also nice and square and very simple. But just before he was going to, or as he began to dig and excavate, the Pandavas came to him in his vision, in his dream or vision, and told him, please don't cut us down. We're here on the banks of Shyamakund doing bhajan, austerities, for the mercy of Radha and Krishna. So please don't cut us. So Raghunath Das Goswami made Shyamakund in such a way that he didn't cut these trees down. He made it at very interesting angles, which resemble Krishna, his nature. Shyamam tribhangalalitam, threefold bending form. So Shyamakund is crooked because of that. These 5 trees were the 5 Pandavas doing austerity. And we also know about the grass and the shrubs in Vrindavan at Udhav Kund, at Govardhan. Udhav, seeing the greatness of the love of the gopis, especially one particular gopi, that one that even all of the other gopis say, wow, who is this amazingly fortunate gopi? That one whom Krishna left Rasalila for, leaving all of us. She is certainly the most fortunate of all the gopis. What's the verse, Sudevi? Anayaradito nunyam bhagavan haririshwar yanno vihaya govinda pritoyam anayadraha. So Uddhava is praying, may I take birth as grass or any shrub so that even one particle of dust from the feet of any particular gopi may come onto my head. So even the grass, the trees and the shrubs, we must be careful. Who are they? What personality is that? We don't know. So in Vrindavan, yes, they are seeing these pastimes. So Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Maharaj explained that the pastimes of the Lord are always going on. We might not be able to see it, but they are still going on eternally. And sometimes the divine personalities in the Dham take forms and manifest before our vision, and sometimes they are hidden from our vision. So when Rupa Goswami was present, we know that Rupa Goswami is Rupa Goswami. Many people saw Rupa Goswami, but not everyone understood that that is Rupa Manjari. Not many people understood that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Kamala Manjari. Not many people understood that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is Nayana Mani Manjari. Not many people understood who our Gurudev was. They're seeing a beautiful form of an elderly sannyasi from India. But who is this personality? They're an eternal servant of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. Same in Navadvip Dham. So Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Maharaj said, all these pastimes are always going on, but sometimes certain personalities take forms, manifest in certain forms. In this case, Gadadhar Pandit has manifested in the form of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Swarup Damodar Goswami has manifested in the form of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. In the same way, this is to answer Devaki's question, other personalities, these Uttam Mahabhagavats like Bangshi Das Babaji, so high, so deep, but someone might not be able to understand them. Usually they do not act in the role of preacher, because they generally see that everyone and everything is doing everything perfectly, means according to Krishna's will. So their nature is to just remain in solitary bhajan, always remembering the sweet pastimes of Krishna. And by their presence, the world, the universe continues to move, continues to exist. Srila Gurudev said, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj said, and I read it from another Vaishnava also, of that caliber, that the universe, this world is always has within it at least one pure devotee. If it did not, it would cease to exist in a moment. So we should all know very, very frankly, that the fact that it still exists is because of the presence of a pure devotee, and if there's a pure devotee present, then we should be so hopeful. At least one. It is still moving. So by their presence, they are nourishing the whole world. But generally, they don't act in the role of preacher or teacher. They're absorbed in their own bhajan. But those who come in the role of teachers, then we should understand that they're here for the benefit of the world.
So is it like when Krishna says, I give the intelligence by which to come to me? Is it in that way that we're able to recognize, due to sincerity of heart and true calling out, Paramatma helps us to understand who is that personality?
So Sudevi's just answered the second question.
No, I'm asking.
She knows this subject. This other question. So how do we know? How can we differentiate? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. So Tesham satata yuktanam. That person who is always connecting to me. Bhajatam pritipurvakam. With love and affection. Constantly doing bhajan means remembering my names, forms, qualities, and pastimes, serving me, dedicating themselves to me. Like he says in Man Mana Bhava Bhakto Madhyajimam Namaskuru. Always absorbing their minds in me, worshipping me, meditating on me, serving me, offering their pranam to me. All of these activities. Priti Purvakam. Priti means with love and affection. Then he says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Dadami means, I will give. Buddhi Yogam Tam. The intelligence to be able to connect. Buddhi Yoga. Yena mam upayanti te. I will give them the understanding or the intelligence by how they can come to me. So this is a factor of our own sincerity. It is a factor of the depth of our sincerity. I just read a quote yesterday, and I sent it to a friend of mine because it manifested in front of me, and I thought how appropriate. We had been discussing this subject. So a devotee asked Srila Gurudev, although some bhaktas have a desire in their heart for a pure guru, still they go to an unbona fide guru and don't realize it. So this is the question. Why is this? Is it due to committing aparad? Or aparadhas, many aparads. Srila Gurudev, that person does not have sufficient sukriti, that means spiritual merit, and does not want bhakti in the true sense. Means they're not exclusively desirous of it. Maybe something, but not. They don't want to give up their material attachments, and maybe this is due to aparads. So he said they don't really want bhakti in the true sense. Otherwise, Krishna would not deprive them. If you are sincere and really want Krishna bhakti, Krishna will certainly arrange that you take shelter of a real guru. So Srila Govinda Maharaj, he explained in this connection that two things are required of us. Our sincerity and our tears. That is our business. If we are truly sincere, we will be weeping and crying out, realizing our condition. I am trapped in this world, in the frying pan of this material world. I am burning. Give me water, and you won't stop crying. If sometimes you're feeling, everything's good, I like it, my life is great, everything's fine. Suffering comes, then I cry, and then everything becomes good again. Then I haven't really understood what situation I'm truly in. I'm trapped in this material world, in the frying pan of this material world, and I am burning. Adhyatmic, adibhotik, adidairic miseries, and the reactions, the karmic reactions from millions of lifetimes of so many sinful activities. There is nothing we have not done millions of times over. When we begin to understand and realize this kind of situation, we will be weeping and crying to Krishna for mercy. That I'm burning here. Please help me. So sincerity. But Jaiva Dharma also says this. When one hits rock bottom, I'm paraphrasing, but to the extent that one enjoys, to that extent one will suffer. To the extent one suffers, one strives for enjoyment, and then they enjoy more. To that extent, they will suffer more, and then they will strive for even more enjoyment. So you see this thing happening, but it's getting bigger and bigger. Like an earthquake starts off with a few shakes at 1 on the Richter scale, and then goes 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and then poof, everything is destroyed. Once you've hit rock bottom, and you realize I have no other shelter, then from that point of extreme anguish, one can call out to Krishna with a heart full of sincerity. I know it sounds intense, but that's the purpose of this material world, that we are being purified. Srila Prabhupada says, being hammered on the anvils of this material world. You know, when you're trying to remove gold from stone, what kind of process it must go through. First you have to smash it out of the rock, then you have to break it into smaller pieces, break it into even smaller pieces, then you put it in, you separate it, you put it into fire, and make it very hot until it melts, and then you separate that, and then you smash it with a hammer to bring it to its, until you have the purest form of gold. So this is the place where this is happening to us. Somehow we are being cleansed, whether we realize it or not, of so many anarthas. And we have come to the point where we have actually met with pure devotees who are helping to really clean our hearts. How? Through the process of Harinam Sankirtan Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. That this entire material existence will be rendered insignificant, and our mind and heart will be cleansed and cooled from this blazing forest fire. So, 2 things are necessary from us. It is our sincerity and our desperateness, which manifests in the form of tears. And what comes as a result is the mercy of Krishna. It is the function of Krishna to send. Srila Gurudeva Maharaj said, one would cry, please send me your own man. Please send me your own man. We can pray like that. And that the rest is up to Krishna. And this is also dependent on the level of our sincerity.
So Balabhadra is just asking one more question here. You say, like, clarifying. So, Madhyam, coming up, may be subject to an element of the 4 defects, since there may be traces of anarthas in the heart. Is that the correct understanding, without causing offense, but using proper discrimination?
I will say straight up, yes. Because the qualification for Madhyam is Nishta, which is firm conviction. Unbreakable firm conviction, but it does not yet mean that they have attained Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, or praying, which means there might still be some anarthas coming up. But still they have unshakable, unbreakable faith in Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And so this is a qualification, a basic foundational qualification for someone who is able to help others. That nothing can break or shake them from their faith. If you see someone's faith shaking and breaking, then you can know that this is not the qualification of Madhyam. However, it might be that they have some difficulty. It can be that they can be some difficulty. Some anarthas are still present in the heart. And so this is something that we need to take into consideration. That those who are coming up to that stage, Gurudev said, their experience is not yet real, it is theoretical. So they have faith, they have heard from Shastra, but it has not necessarily become realized yet. Realized meaning that it becomes real. That's something different. That's the definition of Tattvadarshi, who is a seer of the truth, an experiencer of the truth, who is practically experiencing their relationship in Vrindavan with Brajendranan and Shyamasundar Krishna. This is the definition of Tattvadarshi given by our Guru Varga. By Srila Govinda Maharaj, by Gurudev. Tattva Darshi, Advait Gyan Tattva Braje Brajendra Nandan. This tattva, to have darshan of and to serve practically in your eternal relationship, this Krishna. So that's a different level. But having some knowledge, some understanding, this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu referred to, who can become guru? Who has knowledge of Krishna. He told to Rai Ramananda that anyone who's conversant in Krishna Tattva, they can play the role of guru. But our Guru Varga have warned us, one should be conscious of their capacity. Someone who is firmly bound to the lotus feet of Krishna and has realized their relationship with Krishna and is experiencing that practically, one particle of dust from their lotus feet can save millions of people from this world. And there's no chance of them falling down. Nothing. Not possible. Impossible. For someone who is still in a position where they're coming up, it may be a little bit difficult for them. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur warns that someone who is on that level should be very careful not to accept too many disciples. And Shastra says, it's in Hari Bhakti Vilas, what will happen if someone who is not qualified accepts too many followers? The sins of those followers will drag that not so qualified guru to hell with them. Except those ones will go this way. Gurudev said they will go head first. So they might be higher up on the ladder. If you're going up on a ladder and you only have the capacity to carry on a rope beneath you 1 or 2 people, you have some strength, you can carry 2. But if you put 10 there and you only have the capacity to carry 2, what will happen? The weight of the 10 will pull you down. So Srila Prabhupada warns us very nicely in the purport of Upadeshamrita, I think it's verse 4 or 5 at the very end, that because of this, if anyone takes initiation from anyone who falls down, it will create havoc in the lives of those disciples. So one should take shelter of the uttam. But we understand that the uttam, as an uttam, is not the one who's giving that kind of shelter. They're taking the role of madhyam. So one should take shelter of the uttam who has stepped into the role of madhyam. That requires that there is a period of examination. Generally, there should be a period of examination. It's not that so-and-so said that such and such is Uttam Mahabhagavat, so I'm like, yeah, and I run and jump and offer my soul for all time at their feet. I have the most valuable treasure. I am a soul who is meant to love and serve Krishna. This treasure is more valuable than millions of treasures of this world. With even one treasure of this world, we'll be so careful and diligent. We'll have due diligence how to invest that treasure. But with my soul, I can just throw it anywhere because anyone says so? No. We should examine. One devotee came to Gurudev and said, I want to take shelter of you. And Gurudev said, really? Have you seen my character? Do you know about me? Have you watched me? He said, you should take some time and examine, and I will also examine you. And Gurudev would also be very careful about accepting disciples, only if any senior Vaishnavas, and many would say, we recommend them, this person is sincere, they are serious. Then Gurudev would accept them. But not just whimsically initiating people left and right. These days maybe this kind of thing goes on, but Gurudev was not like that. He was very, very strongly following what our Guru Varga has given. Someone like Srila Prabhupada or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, these kinds of great personalities, our Gurudev, because they are transcendental, they can deliver millions of people of this world. They have no flaw, no inebriety, no lust, no anarthas, because they're transcendental personalities. So we will never find those kinds of expressions in these kinds of personalities. Completely 100% dedicated to that point where not one moment is utilized for anything other than Krishna's service. And for such a personality, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said that if anyone is missing even one moment of absorption in Krishna, and they are, even for one moment, absorbed in anything other than Krishna, I could never willingly submit myself to them. So this is a prerequisite. There should be a mutual examination. Gurudeva will look at us. Are you sincere? Are you qualified? Are you really going to follow? I remember how Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj, he was very strong. You are making a vow. Do you understand what this means? There are consequences for breaking your vow. Very severe consequences. So, are you sure you want to do this? If you make this vow, you will not break it. And then that person will say, yes, I will make this vow. And then after this kind of communication, just like a marriage, well, a real marriage. These days, marriages are like a dime a dozen. But traditionally, it was a vow for life. For life. Like Sri Ram and Sita. Gurudev told us at our wedding. He actually told Sudevi, he said, not even in your dreams will you think of another. Like Ram and Sita. Like this kind of strong vow. So initiation, accepting Sri Guru is like this. So coming back to the point. Yes, we should be conscious of our capacity. And that person who's acting in the role of Guru should be conscious of their capacity. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he said these days, people think that being Guru is like child's play. That it's some childlike thing, that I can just take so cheaply. But it is such a very, very serious thing. Very serious thing. You're taking the role of savior. That I am going to save you and I'm going to bring you to Krishna. It's a very, very deep, esoteric thing. It's not something which is even voted. Oh yeah, he's in good standing, he's qualified, he hasn't fallen down in the last 5 years. In good standing. In good standing for how long? One should not have to think of their guru like that. He's in good standing? Since when? Then all this doubt will be in the back of your mind. And how can you willingly surrender and submit yourself? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, the surrender of such a disciple is not real surrender. Because they don't accept that their guru is transcendental. Then they have this hesitation. But the first requirement in bhakti is ado guru pad ashraya. Completely surrendering to the lotus feet of Sri Guru. But if I have doubt, then how can I surrender? If I have doubt, how can I attain Guru Nishta, which is the backbone of bhakti? I cannot really grow, I cannot progress properly. So these subjects are very intense. So I was just reading what Balabhadra was saying. Yes, conscious of our capacity, super important point. So many nice quotes here. It's getting, I can't read them all. Like unalloyed steel. Nice. So coming to this point from Devaki's question. Yes, we should examine, we should be intelligent enough to distinguish, Srila Prabhupada said. One should be intelligent enough to distinguish. This means that we should have some capacity of discrimination. Some people say, oh, I should not see anything. I shouldn't say anything. I should not hear anything. That means if I don't stand for anything, I will fall. If I don't stand for something, I will fall for anything. I was giving an example the other night. Once when we were taking care of Gurudev in Delhi, when we first arrived in 2010, October 10th, 2010, we received a phone call from one devotee in India, and he said, you have to come immediately. We were in America. Gurudev is beginning his disappearance pastimes. So immediately, tickets were arranged, and we came to India, we arrived there, and by the next day we were put in Gurudev's kitchen seva. We went for a walk in the park, and one elderly Indian man met us. It was myself and Sudevi and someone else. And they said, in this Kali Yuga, you are the incarnation of Radha Krishna. And we just busted up laughing. And we were like, no, 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 never. But we thought, how easy would it be if we just said, yes, we are the incarnation of Radha and Krishna, and our mridanga player is Mahaprabhu. How easy would it be that so many people would come and fall for it and start giving money donations and, worshipping and all like that. It's so easy in this Kali Yuga. Anyone can make any platform, place themselves on that platform, and people will be eating pieces of your gamsha. I witnessed this. I witnessed Prabhupada disciples taking strings of the gamsha of one devotee who was claiming to be on a very high level. Subsequently, they fell down in the eyes of everyone, and then, what a wake-up call. But still, this is so easy. It's so easy to fall for anything, especially if, 1, we have so many anarthas, 2, we make so much aparad, but 3, if we don't become a little bit versed in Shastra. Some necessity is there on our part, a responsibility to ourselves to not be foolish. Why do you think our Guru Parampara have given us so much information? All of them are warning us left and right. Watch out, be careful for this, be careful for that. There's a reason they're telling us. It's so that we don't make stupid mistakes. I remember reading from Srila Prabhupada that our Goswamis, our 6 Goswamis never said, I have seen. They never spoke like this, I have seen. He said, rather they're weeping and weeping, running from place to place. Hey Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite, Hey Nanda Shuno Kuta, Shri Govardhana Kalpapata Patale, Kalindi Banye Kuta. It's so nice, I'm here in Vrindavan and I'm seeing Govardhana is over there, Chamuna is right here. So, Goshantavati Sarvato Vrajapure Ke Dar Mahavifalo, Vande Rupa Sanatano, Ragujugo, Shri Jiva Gopalato. He said, they never said, I have seen, I have seen. And so, hearing these kinds of things from our Guru Varga, then someone walks into the temple and immediately they sit down and they're like, I have seen this, I have seen that, I have seen this, I have seen that, and I am God. In essence. Whoa, wait a second. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but my Guru Varga have warned me. So, boom, all the red flags go up. Pranam from a distance, Hare Krishna. But this is not my cup of tea. Because my Guru Varga have warned me. They've given me some kind of vision to be able to discriminate. And this is why it is so imperative that we have some idea of Scripture. Not just what people are speaking, because people speak all sorts of stuff. Oh, Kishori Mohan said this. I just told you yesterday. I started my class with, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, I apologize. Please forgive me. Once, many, many years ago, there were 2 personalities whom so many Vaishnavas were really, really inspired by. And as we were traveling around the world, we were noticing that the lectures of these personalities were being published on MP3 CDs and MP3 DVDs. And these persons were not Srila Gurudev, they were disciples. And then Gurudev heard about it. And he said, we have never seen anyone do anything like this in the time of their own Gurudev. While their Gurudev was present, we never saw that anyone was promoting themselves like this. And then he made a statement. For conditioned souls, it may be that they make mistakes, right? Brahm Pramada Karanapatava Vipralipsa. Because we have these tendencies for these 4 defects. The pure devotee does not make a mistake. They're devoid of these 4 defects. But the conditioned soul may make a mistake. If any other conditioned soul is listening to the mistake of the other conditioned soul, and that conditioned soul may be even more elevated and preaching and whatever, but they have made some siddhantic error. And someone's listening to that again and again and again and again. It will create a wrong impression in the heart. And that is difficult to remove. So Gurudev recommended that we should only repetitively listen to transcendental personalities. So then the question comes, well then, Kishori Mohan, why are you giving classes? Because Gurudev ordered me to. That's why. For my own benefit. My function is only to encourage everyone I meet. Gurudev always said, inspire my devotees on my behalf. Is to encourage. I'm quoting Gurudev, I'm quoting Srila Gurudeva Maharaj, I'm quoting Srila Prabhupada, I'm quoting Bhakti Pramod Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Srila Maharaj, Bhakti Beyond Vaikuntha Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. What is my function? My function is only to share, to inspire, and to encourage that we should take shelter of such kinds of personalities because they are completely transcendental, completely pure, and they can remove our anarthas. And we can pray to them, please, I need help. My Gurudev has physically stepped out of my vision. I need someone like you. Please manifest in my life. My tendency is that I'm so easily misled. I'm less intelligent. Yogyata vichare kichu nahi pai. I don't have good intelligence. Kalo shudra sambhava. In Kali Yuga, everyone is considered like shudra. Means we're not very intelligent. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hipadritaha. We don't have good memory, we don't have good intelligence, we have tendency to make mistakes, to create so many problems, we have so many difficulties. This is our nature. I have no strength, I don't know what's right and what's wrong. I follow this path and I get smashed, and I follow this path. I need help from beyond myself. If you see in the book Sri Guru and His Grace, on the back cover, there's a quote from inside, from Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Maharaj. There it says, to err, or I don't know how you pronounce it in England, E-R-R, is human. It's our human nature to make mistakes, to have this defect. And because of this, we require help from outside of ourselves. This tendency to make mistakes means we cannot even trust ourselves fully. The only thing we can trust is our sincerity and our tears, our crying out for help. And to the degree that we are really desperate and sincere, Krishna will hear that prayer. Tahara prarthana shune Shri Nanda Kumar. Krishna will hear that prayer, and his function, his duty is to manifest Guru in our life. Why? Because he says it. He says, there is someone who is there. You should surrender to them. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshanam. They will manifest the truth in your heart because they are experiencing the truth. Who is that person? That is none other than Krishna himself manifesting through that personality. Paramatma, Chaitya Guru, manifests externally in the form of Diksha and Shiksha Gurus to help us, to give us confirmation so that we can differentiate between the voice of God and the voice of our mind and the voice of our intelligence. All of these different voices and everything else that's going on inside. The voice of our material desires and all of our senses. It becomes quite confusing inside. So externally, Krishna manifests in the form of Diksha and Shiksha Guru. Krishner Rup, Krishner Svarup. The form of Krishna, the nature of Krishna. Or Svarup means his own form, non-different. This is our own responsibility to become somewhat intelligent enough to be able to also distinguish. Not that anything which comes to us we accept blindly. As Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says, our allegiance should neither be irrational nor blind, but should be dependent on whether that person is altogether good. It's not a blind thing. It's not blind. So, oh, thank you. Oh, is that the one? To err is human, to forgive is divine?
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry, it's time to finish.
I just wanted to address in this connection a question that Narasimha Prabhu brought up a couple of times. And he also brought it to me personally. So we see in Shastra so many glorifications of Mahamantra. Whether you chant it with faith or even with neglect, even jokingly, Shraddhaya Helayava. Still, it's transcendental and completely merciful. Look at Ajamil. He called the name of his son Narayan and he was given liberation. So we see so many amazing glories of Harinam. And in the 10 offenses to Harinam it says that it is an offense to see the glories of the holy name as imagination. So this is also aparad. And then we hear our Guru Varga and our acharyas telling us that there is a difference in the quality of chanting. For someone, it might be like a loud noise, but like a gun with no bullet, it just has gunpowder. It's a blank. So this is only making a sound, but it is not really the pure name. Or a woman going into a maternity ward, breathing, making all the noise of having a baby, but never being pregnant. Then no baby will come. They've also given this example. So it is not the same thing. One might be nothing. There's no name. Might be nam aparad, a very severe nam aparad, like the Mayavadis commit severe nam aparad. Krishna feels their chanting and their glorification of him to be like a thunderbolt to his own heart, because they're against Radha, against bhakti, against the individual relationships of love and affection. So he takes it personally. So the same Hare Krishna, or the same name or glorification of Krishna, but spoken by different qualities of persons, has a very different effect. One Ha by Rupa Goswami, and immediately he's absorbed in Leela, serving Radha and Krishna. So how do we reconcile? I was meditating on this. It is very, very simple. We don't take the understanding or the meaning of Shastra, the verses of Shastra, by our own intelligence. But we understand Shastra through the medium of the teachings of the Mahabhagavat Vaishnavas. They give us reconciliation. Why? Because Shastra is non-different from Krishna. And Krishna says, you can only know me as I am through ekantic, one-pointed love and devotion. Well, I look at myself, I don't possess that. That's why Srila Prabhupada said, so many versions of Bhagavad Gita are there, but how many can be called as it is? Only the ones that are made by the pure devotees, because they know Krishna as he is. Then when they present Bhagavad Gita, they're presenting Krishna and the right understanding. Any three chings. So, no, not yet. Gurudev always gave a minute. 1 second. So this is important. Last time I was being rushed, I made a mistake at the end. So, in this connection, one must take shelter. Jaha Bhagavatamrita para Vaishnavadasthane. One must study. One must understand Shastra in the association of a Vaishnava, a real Vaishnava. Then they can understand properly the heart of Krishna. If they're not following that process, then it's very easy that one can become confused, because Shastra is so vast and it has so many different subjects and ideas. So within Shastra there are so many statements which are made according to different levels, different kinds of persons in their own subjective evolutions of consciousness. And so it is imperative for those who want to progress on the path of bhakti, especially Rupanuga Bhakti, that Tishtam Raje Tat Anuragi Jananugami, that they should always be under the guidance of pure Vaishnavas, whose hearts are overflowing with love and affection for Krishna. They will help us to understand Krishna. Otherwise we will see the verse like Harinam Eva Kevalam or Trinarapi Sunichena according to our own vision, and we will see it only according to the exact definition of the breakdown in the Sanskrit, without having the Vaishnava's revelation or understanding of the deeper import of these verses. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada and our Guru Varga have given us deeper understandings of all of these, so we should understand according to their perspectives, the perspective of my Gurudev and the perspective of my Guru Varga. I know there's so many other questions that are there. I really appreciate all of your questions and engaging me in remembering and speaking about these subjects, especially for my own benefit and clarification. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Panga Guru Varga ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Srila Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. So thank you very much for being with us today and for giving us this opportunity to do our Guru Seva and for encouraging us to always remember the teachings of our Gurudeva and Guru Varga, for keeping me on my toes. So we hope to see all of you tomorrow, to be with all of you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe,
Radhe Radhe,
Dandavat Pranam,
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam,
Krishna,
Radhe
Hare
Radhe,
Krishna, Radhe Radhe.
Hare Krishna.